One day, I was cut in school. I went to Stevenson High School, and I was cutting, and I needed a place to hang out. So I called Africa Bambaataa, and he paid for the cab for me to go to his house. I say I was there no more than 4 minutes. When I came in, there was another guy in the living room, and Bam told me that I could go in his room and watch TV. I was in his room maybe like 3, maybe even 4 minutes, and Bam took out his penis and he started jerking it, and he told me to do the same. But at the time, I didn't really know what jerking meant because I had never done that before. I wasn't jerking myself off or nothing like that. And he told me that it was okay because everybody does it. After that, you know, he showed me how to jerk it, and I kind of was bugging out because it was like, yo, this is Bam. But at the same time, I wanted to be down. I was kind of scared, kind of nervous. And then Bam left the room, and then the guy that was in the living room, he came into the room. And when he came into the room, his penis was already out. And I got up from the bed and I left. And I remember running. I was in Baychester. I remember running, and a lady pulled over, and I got into her cab, got into her car, and she took me back to my school. That was the first occasion. I don't know how or even why I was around Bam again. I remember him taking me, I remember me getting in his car one time, and I remember him taking me to my sister's boyfriend's house. I went with him. I didn't think nothing of it. I had forgave him for what he had did. And when we were in the house, Bam told my sister's boyfriend to take out his penis. And he looked at like kind of disgusted because it was probably me. And Bam said that it's okay, that bee stinger knows. And he took out his penis, and Bam made me go down on him. It was just for like a couple of seconds, and then he stopped. I was embarrassed. I don't even know why I did it. From that point on, I didn't like my sister's boyfriend. Another time, Bam came to get me. I was in his car. Bam started jerking. He had me jerk. And I went down on him, and he went down on me. I can't even say why I did it. I don't know. I just wanted to be down.
By coming out, when you first came out with this story, have you been getting any threats from anybody in the Zulu Nation, or have people been threatening your life?
I'm family to the Zulu Nation Council from the old school. Any threats from them? No. For me to change my story, for me to recontract my story, yes. One of the members from the Zulu Nation security, he told me that I need to retract my story. And then he told me what to say in the retraction. I didn't do it. I had an argument with him on the phone because it's like, I'm not retracting nothing. You know, I mean, real facts. I mean, fuck it, yo, they try to cover it up. They've always been trying to cover it up. you know. Another time Bam was at my house, and this is the thing that like really messed me up. I had to lay on the bed and I had to cross my legs. And Bam would put his penis in between my legs and hump up and down. That experience, that messed me up. I mean, totally. Yo, the first time that I was ever touched was from a man.
Some people say you probably doing this for money and you trying to get him to give you money. What do you say to that?
I don't want nothing from Bam. They called me and they offered me money and they wanted me to sit down with Bam. I didn't do it because I felt it took this long for me to come out and get the strength to do it. And if I would have met with that man, I probably wouldn't be here today. I had a choice. Like I told myself when I was younger, I said, before I die, I'm going to let everybody know what happened to me. Because the way I grew up, not able to hold hands with a girl, I messed up behind that. I lost a lot of girls with that. Other people have healthy relationships, normal relationships. When we're laying in the bed, I wasn't able to hug, I wasn't able to snuggle. I didn't like certain touches. For me to be able to have sex, I have to be the one to initiate. And that like, yo man, that messed me up. I mean, I was married. I went with this girl for 17 years, my kid's mother. And we were married for almost a year. And we only hold hands one time.
How old were you when this first went down? How old were you?
I was in the 9th grade, I was 15.
Some people might say, 15 years old, you're supposed to know what is right and what is wrong. Some people might say, 15 years old, you probably had a little sugar in your tank at the age of 15 and you just went on with it. Because my son is 15 years old and my son knows better right now. You know, so what do you say to that accusation, to them statements?
At the time, I don't know what was going through my mind. All I saw was Afrika Bambaataa. And I wanted to be down. I was scared. As I got older, I wanted to tell. How I'ma tell?
Exactly.
At that time, back in the 80s, the 90s, the Zulu Nation was very powerful and they knew where I lived. Who I'm gonna tell? If I would have came out the way I came out now, I'd probably be dead.
From the time of these, and I have to call it alleged incidents, for legal reasons that has to be how it's stated, to this day, have you sought any professional counseling? Have you sat down with anyone to work through some of these traumatic incidences from then to now?
After I broke up with my wife, I was like really messed up behind that. And then I had talking to another girl, and I went with her for 3 years. And the same situation occurred. She said, I don't know how to show affection, I don't know how to hold hands, I don't know how to snuggle in the bed. When we broke up, I was devastated. I tried to commit suicide. That was the way that I went and I tried to talk to the therapist. And what kills me about some members in the Zulu Nation, they try to say that this is about money. This is about a book. That was therapy for me. The social worker, the psychiatrist, They told me that for me to put everything down on paper, that was bothering me, because I went through a lot of depression. They called it major depression because I wasn't able to talk about it. And I had put it down on paper, and when I was writing, I kept writing and writing and writing everything that bothered me in my life. From my mother having sex with one of my friends, to Bam touching me. It wasn't just bad things I put in the book. I put good things when I toured all over the world with a group called Snap. I just put everything down on paper, and I said my life is like a book.
Okay. So what you're saying is the writing was very cathartic. You were able to get out and work through a lot of these thoughts and emotions through the writing process?
Yeah, because I told myself, I said, if they're going to diagnose me, if they're going to want to understand me, I wanted to write everything down, so that they could understand in detail. And it just turned into a book.
Here at Black News 102, this is your first opportunity to speak directly to the conscious community. And we have a few members in the conscious community that would like to whatever degree you feel comfortable in sharing details or offering insight, they would like to just get a little more of an understanding for us to benefit and hopefully prevent alleged acts like this ever taking place again. One of the gentlemen from our community is sitting right to your immediate left. I'm going to turn it over to him at this moment.
First, I want to say, pleasure to meet you, brother. And I actually want to commend you for even coming out and doing it. Because as I listened to your first video that you did, like you said on the show, and then even listening to you now, it seems that putting it on the paper was very therapeutic for you. You was able to get it out. And when you're dealing with an entity, because we got to be real, it wasn't just Africa Bambaataa, it's the nation that he stood behind, the Zulu nation that he stood behind, and being able to come out against that entity. Do you feel more free now? Because I can only imagine you were in a prison for all of them years. You were in a prison for all them years, you couldn't speak to nobody, didn't feel comfortable telling nobody, Zulu nation putting pressure on you not to say nothing. Do you feel better now that you're getting it out and the support that you're getting from the people as coming out?
I feel a little better. I feel better getting it out. And what makes me stronger is that I have support all around the world. All around the world, people contact me and said that I was a hero. I'm just hoping that my life, my experiences can help people. And what I really wanted to say to parents is that you really got to know who your kids' friends are.
Exactly, yes.
You may think because a celebrity is coming to your house or someone powerful is coming to your house, they're just like anyone else. You have to watch your kids.
Right. And with that said, if you correct me if I'm wrong, was that your mother that you were speaking about that you said was with one of your friends, right? So now that happened right around the time the Bambaataa situation occurred. So as anybody seeing your story, because like Sinetta brought out earlier, they tried to make it appear as if you might have been that way prior to, and then Bambaataa just allowed you to fulfill that fantasy, so to speak. But the minute that I heard you say what happened with your mom, I could see how that destroyed or plays a part in the destruction of your psyche. So as you dealing with your mother sleeping with a friend, and then Bambaataa, who's this prolific profile person or high up type of person, he comes to you with that. And does it feel like the love that you didn't get from your mama, or the rejection or the pain that you felt from your mama, did it feel like you would get that from Bambaataa? Did that play a part? And the reason why I ask these type of questions, because as the thousands of people watch these videos, you never know who may be being predatorized right now that can then look at them signs, not only, that's correct, by the same man, Africa Bambaataa, or by another man. Because we have to face the fact that it ain't just famous people molesting children, it's regular old people molesting children. And so somebody, the way that your story can change lives besides your life is that people can look at the signs that you saw by you telling your story. So it's not just you bringing out what happened to you. It's bringing out the signs of what you was going through, because then somebody else, just like you strengthened brothers, like you came out, and then that gave other brothers to, you know, to come out. That's why I shook your hand and I commended you for even coming out, because that gives other brothers strength to heal themselves. You understand? So do you feel that that in doing that you're actually helping not only the ones that were victims for Bambaataa, but the ones that are victims from anybody? Because what we're finding out is that child molestation is ravaging the black community, and that leads to the homosexual agenda that we have. You know what I mean? So do you feel that your story can also affect them as well?
Yeah, I feel that it can, and I'm hoping that it can. You know, like one of the signs is when I was younger, I always used to gaze out the window all the time. I always kept to myself, and even now at 50, you see I'm by myself. When I was younger, I don't know, I guess I was looking for love. So that's probably what it is. And I'm still looking for love at the age of 50.
Well, now in closing, because I don't want to take up, you know, too much of your time, but what I would like to do is extend an invitation. Myself and a brother by the name of Irritated Genie, he has a movement that they call the Straight Black Pride movement. I don't know if you've ever heard of it. And what the Straight Black, what his movement about, which coincides a little bit of ours, is about not only black love between a man and a woman, but we're totally against homosexuality. We're against homosexuality with this man, with grown man, woman with grown woman, and of course the pedophilia that takes place, or the child molestation that takes place. So we'll actually be having an event, I believe in July. I don't have the exact date, but I'll get you information, or Sinetta get you information. And I would like for you to come and then tell your story there. Because what we have to realize is that eventually Bambaataa is going to go away. But the victimization that's taking place amongst our people is not. So we have to make sure that we keep this type of movement alive, keep it as fresh in people's ears as he kept Planet Rock in people's ears, so that people can see the signs of the molestation that's taking place, so that we can fight it. So I'm extending an invitation for you to come out and to even potentially say a word or two to the people, again, because you never know what your words is going to touch. Because had you have not said nothing, that brother that made that video wouldn't have said nothing, the other brothers wouldn't have said nothing, and nobody would have cared. To where Kent State, Cornell College is now removing Bambaataa's music out of their school, because they said to keep that in there will be them admitting that it's okay to be a child molester, that it's okay. So your words and what you did was very powerful, and don't let nobody shake you from that, brother. All right, so I don't want to take up too much of your time. It was a pleasure. I'll get your information from Sa. Go ahead.
I wanted to thank Poppy.
I was about to ask you that question, so let me hold off for 1 minute. Yes, the other brother that made the video sitting in the car, he go by the name of Poppy. When I seen that brother, I don't know, he was just going in. He was dropping some heavy names in his joint. Do you know Poppy personally? Talk about it.
I don't know Poppy personally. Growing, like recently, you know, I heard about Poppy, that's Baby B.O. But me personally, I don't know Poppy, but the experiences that we share, now we do, you know, give each other love on Facebook. Yeah.
By no means, family, you cannot take down the whole Zulu nation behind one individual. Who else knew about this? Who else knew that this was going on? Was it the Zulu nation or just Afrika Bambaataa personally?
You know, for that question, I would like just to say that those are two different entities. Bambaataa is Bambaataa, and the Zulu nation is the Zulu nation. And, you know, I just want to make this clear that I'm absolutely not attacking the Zulu nation. This happened with one man, and I'm here to let the world know what that man did to me. And that man is Afrika Bambaataa.
What would you like to see happen to Afrika Bambaataa?
I would like to see him get some type of counseling, That's probably what I really want. I don't want nothing from him. I never asked nothing. I just want to see him get. I just want to see him get help. That's what I want to see.
This was a subject before I have an opportunity to interview you. The subject of the incident that took place concerning Bambaataa had come up, and many had put a cloud of suspicion over him for getting attorneys. And I was one that said, hey, getting an attorney is a smart thing to do, because there are innocent people that are in jail that you have to get an attorney to, in some way, weed through all of the specifics and the legalities related to a charge. And I know you've been so forthcoming with saying you don't want anything, and I'm not trying to extract anything or extort him financially. You just, like you just said, want him to get help. But from a legal perspective, cannot someone at some point later change their mind? And I know there's a time period on criminal charges, but I believe civil charges there is no time limit on. And could you not at some point in the future say, you know what, I feel my life has been messed up, I want to civilly attack him or charge him or try to extract from him financially? Could some people be thinking that could be coming at some point?
I'm going to say this. After this happened to me, growing up, I couldn't look at Bam's pictures. I didn't even listen to his music. So do you really think I'm going to take money from that man?
Okay. And your heart and your spirit, it sounds so genuine. It seems that the only thing you want to do is to get your story out, to help those that may be in this situation, and also to get Bambaataa help for these alleged incidents that he perpetrated upon you. Again, the conscious community thanks you so much for your courage and coming forward and lifting so many that may be in that frightened place. That same discussion we had, there was a gentleman that said, oh wow, it was consensual, and I said, hold up. And I said, one, a minor can't consent. And science has proven there's parts of the brain that haven't even matured enough to make concrete decisions. That's why you can't vote until a certain age. That's why you can't drink until a certain age. Judgment is not fully formed. So that consent thing, I have never bought into. Then there's, well, he's from the hood. Oh, why are we so rough on our children? We make our children that they got to be some kind of super beings. A child is a child. You have a right to have a childhood. You shouldn't have to figure out what a person 30 years older than you is trying to position you to do. So it's just some of the positions I've heard as I move through the community I've been disturbed by. But again, I commend you so much for just having the courage to step forward. And I know Sonetta probably has some other words.
Peace, black family. All right. Peace, Ron. So people don't know, we all come from Castle Hill, right? A lot of people have been engaged in these crimes. They've been holding it for so many years. Right? Because we all had situations thrown at us. And there's a lot of people that we know that went up north and came back home and had problems up north, right? So what do you say to the victims of the crimes in our community? What do you say? Is there a message that you can tell them about how they need to deal with it, or just deal with it as it comes? This is important, I think, for our community, because a lot of people, you know what they're scared of? If a lot of people start coming out and saying that, right? A lot of people been living with stuff that they can't live with. They can't live with themselves. So what do you say about the victimization, and what do you think is our solution as a people to fix this problem? Right, you're in politics right now. How do we fix this problem?
Well, I'm going to say this. I too was a victim. I didn't come out right away because of my safety. So, I'm not going to play like, oh, they should come out and say this and they should say that if I didn't. I came out totally when I felt that I was safe enough and where people didn't know where I lived or knew they couldn't really get at me. I feel that a victim should speak up, but when they feel safe or when they feel they're not going to bump into that person. And I feel, don't take it to the grave with you. Like, I had made a promise to myself that before I die, I was going to let it out. And they should make that promise to them. As a victim, no one can tell you when it's the right time or when you should say something. But I do say that you should say something when you're ready.
I seen the video that you did, and you was all out of it. You was crying, your eyes was red. I'm gonna tell you, that video right there kind of touched me. I felt your pain on that video. That's serious right there, man.
Now, I can tell you why. I can tell you why I was upset in the video.
Yes, go ahead.
Because at the breaking point when I was finally getting it out, I had let out tweets that Africa Bambaataa molested me. And soon after the tweets, I had got a phone call from a high-ranking member of the Zulu Nation, who's my friend. And he asked me, as a friend, as a member of the family, if I could take those tweets down. After I hung up with him, I started taking the tweets down and crying at the same time because I felt I was finally able to get it out and I'm being shut up again. And at that time, I had called Star and I told him what happened, and he told me that it was up to me if I wanted to come forth or not. And when he said that, it just made me strong, and we did the interview.
Well, I mean, we're on a journey in this life, and there's all these choices that we have to make, right? And again, we come from a tough project, right? So let's be real, Ron, about the projects that we grew up with, right? There's a lot of murders. There's a lot of rapes. There was a lot of people, a lot of molestation, right? And then people dealt with it in certain different ways. Some people, you do something to somebody and they die. You understand? Like, you disrespect somebody and they die. That was one of the rules in our projects, right? But then there were other young kids that weren't into violence, right? Took things differently. And I think they preyed on, in the projects, a lot of people who wouldn't do nothing. Because there were some people, you did something, you died. Simple as that. So we're gonna look more into the story, but I'm gonna tell everybody, I grew up with this kid, and when we, as kids, we didn't know nothing about no homosexuality. We didn't talk about it. We didn't know nothing. So something like this would be something like Alien, like straight out of, like, we didn't know nothing. I mean, our parents didn't talk about it.
How long you known Africa Bambaataa, Brother Reggie?
I knew Africa Bambaataa
Since how old?
About 14, 15 years old.
You never saw this in your life? You never saw nothing like this happening, brother?
See, I was on a different side because when Bam came to my side of the projects, right, he dealt with my upstairs neighbor. I'm not going to call his name, right? But this was one of the toughest cats in my projects, right? And it was more on some business and some other type of stuff, right? So because I lived in that building, whatever, ours was a different type of it. It was more like, it was a little bit more rougher, right? So it didn't happen on my side, but we would see Bam, and but I'm just saying that in the nature of prisons, in the nature of the street game, see, people not talking about all this stuff with Preacher, right? And all this other stuff that went on in Harlem. You could go to the Bronx if you want, right? But other places got their own story. You ain't talking about Mother Dear. Everybody, when we was growing up, we knew about Mother Dear. That was a determinant. You talk about scared straight, you ain't want to go upstate to meet Mother Dear, because they would tell you about it, right? So look, we wasn't thinking about this stuff, right? But it leaked into our community. And we didn't know when it happened. There was a lot of child murders in our neighborhood too. Nobody's talking about the child murders, right? So there's a lot of things going on.
Let me ask you last question, because you got to go. the state? Have the state tried to pick up your case? Have the state tried to come to you to make you be more open, to try to tear down the Zulu Nation?
100% no.
So the white man kept his hands out of it.
That I know of.
Okay.
But this is really a black
All
problem.
right, I want to thank you, my brother Ronnie Savage. Brother Smalls, you got one last question for him?
Again, I said it before, I can't say it enough. Just thank you, brother. It takes the kind of courage that many of us don't have. That's when you step forward, that gave others courage. No one came forward. And many say, oh, I heard rumor. I never heard a rumor. I never heard a single word about this. And I'm from the community. I'm through the community. I never heard anything. So before you came forward, so for your courage, for your will, and ultimately out of your care and love for the community, because you're not trying to get anything. You just want us to be better for us. So, and you hear the love here, and like you said, you've been feeling love around the world. You deserve every ounce of it. Continue to stand strong and know that we are in your corner. Thank you.